Wow, this video is cool. Had a chance to spend a lot of time with the TekVest CEO, Steve Brand, and you have to see what he hooked me up with. I ordered this from him. This thing is super cool, kind of a one-of-a-kind thing, what they did. We'll explain it to you in the video. A lot of great stuff, explanations of how these are built. Thanks for watching. Check it out. Got Steve Brand here from TekVest. And that's a story in and of itself of how we got together. Let me try to explain how Steve and I got connected. So I did a video on some vests, riding vests, a couple of months ago. I'll put a marker right here. So I sent it out, put it out on YouTube, posted on a couple of forums. And then literally within an hour, I got an email from this guy at TekVest named Steve. He said, hey, you know, it's an interesting video. Glad that you're promoting safety. Do you mind if I give you a call? So literally like within 15 or 20 minutes, Steve calls. And in his salutation in the email, it said, what, senior tech, right? What is it?
I'm a senior pilot.
Senior pilot. So I'm like...
We don't use all the fancy terms. CEO and all that.
Yeah, well, I think that's an interesting story. So I'm like, oh, this guy, Steve, senior pilot, wants to give me a call. And remember, I'm just doing this, you know, for fun, trying to share information. They're just opinions. And so the senior test pilot named Steve gives me a call and we start to talk. And, you know, we asked a little bit about, you know, hey, why'd you do this video? And I said, hey, you know, we all ride. We all got these different vests. We're always looking for content that might help viewers and be interesting to viewers. So that's why we did it, right? Promote safety. So Steve, you know, what do you do? He's like, well, I'm kind of the chief test rider. You know, I kind of founded a company. I'm the CEO. I said, oh, hey, Steve, how are you? No, so we talked a little bit about our background, and, you know, one thing led to another. And, you know, he served in the military in Canada. What, how many years? 40?
Yeah, 40 years.
When he had mentioned that, I kind of said, well, yeah, I did a stint in the military as well out of college. You know, I only did 4 years active and 2 years reserve. And then he asked me, hey, do you have any of your old uniforms laying around? I said, uh-oh, he's going to ask me if I still fitted them.
Yeah, well, I know they probably don't fit. That's why we have a new use for them.
Yeah. Steve said, you know, if you have a couple of uniforms and if you're looking at vests, I said, well, you know, you even heard of my video before I ever met Steve. I said I really wanted to try that TekVest. And I paid Steve for this vest. So let's unveil it, man.
Airborne.
Thank you, airborne.
Remember this bag?
Even in the airport. So this is
what a coincidence. That's my snowmobile duffel bag, which is a T10 parachute bag, which you know well.
I do. I have scuba gear in one of my basement. So this is actually a parachute bag that once you land, right, you got to gather up your chute and stuff it in here. So let's check this out.
By the way, my 40 years was as a reservist. So I did active duty, which is a U.S. term for deployments overseas in Africa and Afghanistan. A bunch of time with Special Forces units and paratrooper kind of stuff. This is a TrailPro.
That is awesome. Look at this thing. How cool is that?
So that starts with our stock TrailPro chassis, which is no zipper, which is my preference. More frontal protection. Yeah, we have two products. We have basically zippered products, the Super Sport and the FreeStyle. The zipper is strictly there for convenience, but it creates a gap in the armor, which is still way more protection than most people ever will need. So you took the TrailPro chassis and took your two uniforms, because here's...
Yeah, I set them some jungle fatigues too, the old Vietnam era.
So what year is this uniform? What did the Americans call that?
The second year I was in service, they disallowed to wear this. This was the Vietnam Jungle Light. And I could only wear this like the first 2 years of my service, and then they said it's not sanctioned anymore. And then they went to this other uniform that you have in the front. So explain to what you did. So you basically took the tops of the uniform.
Yeah, we took...
off. It's kind of
You sent us two uniforms. You sent us this one?
This is circa 80s.
Okay.
Yep.
So you sent us two uniforms, so we kept the sexier one, because everyone loves camo, right? So we put that on the front, and then we put your older Vietnam one on the back.
Yeah, this is 60s and 70s, yeah.
And then, so we've cut, this is a front pocket that we cut and relocated on the back of the TekVest. Here's when you served in the, can you believe this, Pershing missile unit, battlefield nuclear devices, unbelievable stuff from the Cold War. Lieutenant Fucci, and in Canada we call them lieutenants, like that's British Commonwealth, so you're a lieutenant, a 1 bar, wonder.
Yeah, well, I was a butter bar and then the silver bar. And the last 30 days I was in the service, I made captain, but I never was in an active position. My wife's like, give him the captain stuff. I said, I'd feel odd because I actually was never active. You know, the last 30 days you're still in the Army, but you're not going to assign you to a post for 30 days. And, you know, you're on this list and, you know, I get this letter, hey, you've been promoted to captain. I think at that time I had 24 days left of the service.
Well, that's what kind of brought us together, and that's why, you know, it's such a coincidence because I got a T10 bag that I've toted all my junk around in.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was in helicopters all the time.
Flyer's kit bag.
I use this from my helmet bag. That's exactly what so military surplus, good stuff. Yeah. Now, this is the type of vest that you personally ride with as well?
Yeah, well, I have TrailPro, and here's mine.
I'll grab that.
Yeah, this is from my last tour, which was in Afghanistan in '09, where I worked with Americans. And name tag, Canadian rank, that's Lieutenant Colonel, Airborne Infantry guy, Canadian jump wings. This is a heated vest, actually, by the way. You're not supposed to see that, but there's my American wings, thanks to Guy. I hadn't had a set of metal wings. I gave them to a younger soldier like 20 years ago or so, and so I got new ones here, but they're not blood wings. I've already been through that routine. So
explain to people what blood wings are.
Well, when you do an American jump course and you do an exchange training, they'll actually pin. Those are pinned.
Big pins.
Yeah, so they put them up on your chest and they. Ouch! Boom. You're a jumper, buddy. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
Yeah, you get nice little bruises from that.
You get carried away. This is the pocket, front pocket, and we sewed it on the back because now I use it. Everything has a purpose. Got spare hat. When I worked for Skidoo.
How many years did you work at Skidoo?
I was there 16 years.
And then you went to found.
Yeah, then I went from that to found Tekrider, which is now in year 21. Still out there testing stuff.
I keep saying TekVest. Tekrider is the name of the company.
Yes.
TekVest is the product.
Tekrider is the company, and one of its lines is TekVest, and we're going to bring our power touring gear, clothing, outerwear clothing line. So there'll be a PTG division or some other such name, and we have a heated technology division. Wow. TekVest is the principal product of Tekrider, but we're expanding.
Well, what's interesting about why I just threw this camera up in this little kitchen, you had all this gear laying out. I said, I really liked riding behind you last night because I could see the orange and started showing me the jacket. And I was like, amazing, just all the thought that went in. I said, TekVest makes garments. He goes, well, explain.
The jacket and the pants were all developed in 1999, 2000, and we were out on the market one season. 2004, but people didn't want to spend that money for that kind of quality back then. But market's changed now. Guys are older, more experienced. The sleds are way quicker, and the clothing hasn't really necessarily kept up technology-wise.
We'll go into the garments a little bit. Let me put this thing on.
Yeah, we got to make sure it fits, man.
Yeah. So put your head on and your arm in at the same time.
Yep. Right? Real quick. Once you master the TrailPro, you can actually learn to grab that one at the same time. Bang. Yep. And then you just once you get practice, you can actually with one hand, because you got to reach back, because we place the clip back so it's out of the handlebar sweep zone. That's from racing days.
Oh, that feels great. You know, I've been wearing this for 3 years now, 3 seasons. Again, I had the wake-up call when I broke 3 ribs, and this is better than nothing. So again, we're just trying to support. Please wear something. And then because of the video I did and the outreach by Steve, I mean, this is what I've graduated to, which I was probably going to do anyways at some point. And I rode with this yesterday. I know we just did 100 miles, right? But we did it. I mean, it was amazing. It was more comfortable than that one, because that one is really tight on you. Explain how this is supposed to fit, because you said you want a little bit of looseness so it can move. It creates warmth, and I took 1 layer off yesterday as well. That's how much warmth is in this insulation.
Well, a TekVest is, hopefully you'll never use the impact characteristics. Right. It's an insulator and it's a wind stopper. So it's a mid-layer product. So when you wear a TekVest, you can generally get rid of one of something. And on jackets, we recommend you get jackets with zip-out linings and lots of ventilation. You want to have zips in strategic spots because the Gore-Tex type breathable fabrics I really call them spectator fabrics. They really don't work. They cannot pass enough moisture quick enough for our sport. In the end, there's no replacement for displacement. That works in engines.
Yeah.
It also works in airflow on upper bodies. So you want to be able to bring cold air in at, very quickly when you're getting hot on the trails.
So Steve, explain like how this is supposed to fit. I mean, there's so many misnomers on how things are going to fit. This comes, so here's my waist, right where my hands are. So it's an inch and a half above my waist. By design. But when I sat on the sled, it's just right there. It's not digging in. And then explain, a little bit about the side. Where I broke my ribs was right on the side. You were saying something last night about where the major injuries are. The data that he has is just so interesting. I wish I had the camera on this morning at breakfast too. I mean, it's just, obviously it's your business.
Well, I hear a lot.
40 years.
We hear all the horror stories when guys phone, and lots of people don't want to talk about it. So we hear it all, and all I'm doing is relaying what I've heard in my own personal experience. But the big hits that will turn out the lights are from left and right, lower, upper into the rib cage and into the vital organ area. Very few people will crash face forward. Yes, you might hit the bars and go over, but eventually you're going off to the side. Okay. And the number one cause of death and injury on the trail is broken ribs, internal piercing of internal organs. You go into shock, you don't make it to the golden hour, buddy gets hurt, okay, goes to the back of the line, and an hour later he passes out.
Because of internal
He's in
bleeding.
shock, and few people know how to diagnose it. It's the golden hour. So, Infantry 101, when in doubt, treat as a fracture. When in doubt, treat as an internal injury. Because unless you've got a paramedic trained with you in the group, nobody can make that assessment. Probably every Monday morning of 10 weeks of every winter, we get a call of someone who passed away. Jeez. Because people weren't able to diagnose it or they were too far away. So
this is not as hard a plastic as that, but this is very hard. It feels like there's just a little cushion that indents about the width of a dime, but then there's something hard behind that. Talk a little bit about how this is designed with the materials. You mentioned something to me at breakfast about just the materials that you use and how you manufacture it and where you procure the materials.
Yeah, well, everything, for me, it's quality. It only has to work once to pay for itself. And both my sons raced snowcross from age 5, and we didn't want to put them in anything substandard, so we always went for top drawer solutions. These are, to this day, it's our 21st year. We still make these in Ontario, Canada, 3 hours north of Toronto. So we kind of say, and we proudly fly the U.S. flag because I'm a big fan of most things U.S. So we call it Made in Canusa, Canada, USA. So I deliberately source all of our components from the U.S. or Canada. So 95% of a TekVest is actually sourced from, in this case, all my armor comes from the U.S.
All the material.
So those are high-cost suppliers.
Right.
But they only get one chance to work right, and UHMW plastic from the Far East may not be the same quality as it is from my supplier in Pennsylvania. So we pay more for quality because we know we have the consistency.
Explain the idea of this doesn't need to be the hard plastic and what the intent here is with the energy when something hits. I mean, it was really interesting, and then what the plastic is. You had this high quality plastic and you used an analogy of it's 8 times the strength of something else that normal people would understand. So,
yeah, I think most of your listeners will recognize the word UHMW, or UH for short, which is ultra high molecular weight. Like all of its skis on all the sleds are UHMW as opposed to HDPE, which is high density polyethylene. Okay. Think milk bottle, garbage pails, very low quality plastic.
Right.
So UHMW solutions are the high end. It has 8 times the cut resistance of HDPE. So a stud or a branch is going to slide off quicker, faster, easier. And the plastic is soft, so it moves around. When you have the motocross molded chest protectors, they're rigid. So they will, and they're better than nothing. And that's how I contacted you, because you did a balanced report on 4 products and just said wear something. Right. That's all I do. Yeah. I don't even like doing these kind of
I know you did. I had to convince him to do it. And again, this is, I don't know how this is all going to be edited out, but I just learned so much. I'm like, you know what, and I've been riding a long time, been around the industry a long time from a consumer perspective, And I mean, the last 4 hours, I learned so much about garments and the way this is designed, and so there's plastic underneath the insulation because this is not just hard initially. So
yeah, we didn't stage this, or I would have brought a piece of our armor. Our secret sauce, our Cadbury secret, is that we use a soft armor configuration deliberately, and it is a combination of a vinyl nitrile energy absorbing foam laminated in thin slices of UHMW plastic. So the whole thickness of our armor is a 1/4 inch.
right.
But in order to have the performance, it's like most things. You know, a thin armor product costs money because it's the total of the subcomponents that you use. Like hockey gear you buy is like 1.5 inches thick sometimes.
Okay.
Well, the thicker it is, the cheaper the subcomponents are because the manufacturer's trying to get energy dispersion.
Right.
So it costs money to go thin.
Yep.
It's just like snowmobiles, lighter, faster, cheaper. You can have 2 of the 3, you can't have all 3.
Right.
So if you want lighter and faster, you have to pay extra money. And we deliberately chose to do that to keep the armor very thin,
Right.
but also to work. Nobody gets a chance to pick the time and place of their accident, so
Right.
we got to be ready for the unexpected.
So now that should be. I'm sitting down. You can see.
It just
Yeah.
drops into position. Like all those lines are deliberate.
I like how it's angled here too. Come up over your hip a
Yeah,
little bit.
and this is where part of our cost is we don't have square cut goods on a round body. So every time you do a curve like this for ergonomics,
Wait, by the
you're
way,
increasing
you have
wastage.
permission to touch me. What did you say it was? What
First-
kind of permission is it?
Well,
Functional permission?
yeah, for focused functional,
Okay.
no groping. Yeah.
We are up here in the backwoods like we are remote. No, but this makes total sense, and I never felt. And look at how low the shoulder pads are. I never got my helmet hooked on anything. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I think it might be designed by somebody who rides. We can show you what we started with. Here's what we started with.
So this
with
is
yours.
my vest
Yeah.
just without the uniform.
Yeah, this is the TrailPro. This
Oh,
is this
cool.
is our top of the line trail
So
product.
this is exactly my vest without the uniform on.
Same armor, same coverage. Didn't stage any of this stuff.
But I like this. You can see the plastic now.
Well,
that's interesting.
okay. So we did. This is from the racing days where you could put your numbers on, but also in a jacket when you're wearing a jacket. We want the jacket to be sliding off these plastic surfaces. It's all about comfort. We don't want the driver to be distracted by any of his gear. Just focus on the sled and the trail and stand on the right side. So all these little tricks, you know, we've learned from racing and high mileage.
That's slippery as heck. I can see
That's
exactly how.
well, that's the UHMW.
Oh, great. So now I'm going to crash because I got my...
You know what? You signed the waiver, so you're on your own, buddy. But you can feel there's a little bit of friction across the top of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, hell.
So people say, like, why is that there? You know, but
that's what I mean.
But
when
we're
you were
learning.
telling me this morning, everything has like a complete function.
How can you clean those?
Soft wash in a shower, soft soap, drip dry. It's 100% synthetic.
This is a super sport.
This is our zippered product. We have 2 zippered products. We have what's called a FreeStyle and the Super Sport. But the zipper is more convenient. It's more user friendly for more people. We get it.
Now, just initial like this feels just a tad lighter, not much, but just a little.
Well, that's because you got heavy U.S. uniform fabric.
Well,
Yeah. So maximum, and we haven't published this on the web, and we should do it. But the total dry weight of this product here in size extra large is not even 5 pounds. So
Yeah,
we got to
no,
publish
this
weight
is
because
fine.
people have this perception that it's super heavy.
No.
The Super Sport, all of our TekVests use the same armor configuration, the same vinyl nitrile UHMW plastic. It's all hand laminated, which is labor intensive. So it's got a 4-stage pocket system, so you can put a trail map in there.
Yeah.
Reverse entry pocket,
Oh wow.
so you
look
put
at that.
wallet, cell phone, key.
We all know TekVest is not inexpensive, but God, the more and more I learn, I understand why. I mean, it's all these things that are useful, and it's because you ride. I mean, how many miles have you ridden just this year?
Well, I usually don't start till now. So next 6 weeks, so 2,000 to 3,000 more miles. So
Yeah.
I try to achieve 5,000 or 6,000 miles because that's what I need to test stuff and verify stuff.
What's the main difference between this and the, I mean, obviously the zipper, but what else? I mean, it feels like
This has a
is it
zip
the
off.
same cut?
It has a zip off fleece collar. It's
Oh yeah. This is what you had on yesterday, and you took this off.
yeah, it's too hot.
It's too warm.
Yesterday
Yeah,
was like 32 degrees.
warm.
So you can zip that off. But it's the convenience of a zipper. But the zipper creates a gap in the armor.
Okay.
So for people who have had previous injuries in the frontal area, in the engine room, people who have pacemakers, want just a little extra, we always recommend the TrailPro. But this is still better than most people wear, which is nothing.
Right.
So it's going to take a handlebar laterally like this.
Right.
But the big thing is it's the same side protection, which
that's key.
people don't talk about that until they know of somebody who's
That's
broken
exactly
ribs.
where my injury was. It was weird that it was back here because when I hit, I flipped over and turned, and that's where I landed. Because there aren't a lot of vests out here that don't have the zipper. I mean, it was interesting that Rich was concerned about it the other day. I said, what's the probability? I mean, this is still a heck of protection, right? I mean, so if Guy Fucci walks in and says, what kind of vest should I get? Would you steer me away from this and go directly to what you said?
No, I give you three choices. You can have the FreeStyle, which is this with no pockets, no fleece collar. It's our basic. We'll call entry level.
Okay.
But it has the same armor as the TrailPro. Or you can go to the middle model with pockets, which I find great because it's the perfect place for my cell phone.
Can we talk about pricing so then I don't have to go look it up, make an error? Do you know what
FreeStyle is like $300 US.
That's
retail.
this one right here.
No, the entry level model.
Without the zipper.
This is $375 USD, and this one's almost $500.
Okay.
But it also comes with the
It's got
arm
the
pads,
arm.
which are $90
no
a
zipper.
pop.
Got it.
So for under $500, so $300 to $500.
You know you're not the cheapest. You're explaining to me, why are your vests probably more expensive than 90% of the other vests out there?
Well,
tell the viewers,
yeah.
if they see a $150 vest that's cheaper, tell us why, because when you told me this morning, it absolutely made sense.
Well, we're actually made in Canada, so nobody else. Everything else all the products that you reviewed and virtually everything else that's out there has come from the Orient. We're domestic manufacturers in Canada using U.S. subcomponents, so our cost of goods are considerably higher.
Right.
But then we're purpose built. We're the only company that makes snowmobile gear for snowmobilers, as opposed to bringing something from the motorcycle world into snowmobiling. Now, having said that, this is why I've contacted you, because your report was very balanced, and you said wear something. So that's all I say.
Right.
So I, basically, I'll suggest to guys, if I have an email instruction, say, look, there's lots of options out there.
Let me give you my perspective. Obviously, they're high quality manufacturer, also expensive, top of the line gear. I mean, you wouldn't believe how humble you are, and just how, for you to come here, you didn't know me, you traveled quite a ways, you did this for me. I did purchase my vest. There's no incentive here for me or for Steve, and we're just enthusiasts that got together, and he happens to be the CEO and manufacturer of one of the best vests. But here's my perspective. I think the way you told me that you treat employees, he doesn't lay employees off. You have long-time employees, so therefore your quality is high, and that costs money to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number one. Number two, you procure things across the border from the U.S. Yes, it's expensive. You said you procure some stuff from Pennsylvania. High quality, but there's also high costs there. But then the thought, as we were discussing this morning, just when we go into some of the garments, the thought that goes behind where you put a zipper, where you put a vent. I mean, there's a lot of intellectual design that goes into this, and time. I don't know, I can just tell that, here's the CEO, he cares about his product, and he's out here just talking to everybody about it, and he comes back with ideas after riding. Like, tomorrow you're leaving on a 2-day solo trip, and he's going to come back with other ideas, right? You said you were testing some vent or patch in a jacket, and it's just amazing what he does that you'll never hear or see. I mean, this is a company and a founder, and your son is heavily involved, that really care about everything, and there's expenses associated with that. And it's just not like you're this big conglomerate that has just snowmobile as one little catalog item. $300 to $500 you can get the entry level, which is really nice without zippers and pockets if you're not into that, to the $500 where you get the top of the line.
You know what? It's a contact sport. It's one of the last things that we can do that's high risk. We just want to try and control the risk and manage the risk and have fun.
Thanks for watching Adventure Streaming, guys. We appreciate it. Thanks goes out to Steve Brand and TekVest, my new buddy Rich Rockefeller. Appreciate you shooting some footage up here in Mont Valin. And guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe. We appreciate the support. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, enjoy your adventures.